You know, sometimes out of some of the greatest tragedies in the world, amazing things happen. And I know that many of you know the story of Britney Gengel and the Be Like Brit Foundation. I'll just set it up quickly, Asma, and then we'll get to our guests. There was the earthquake in Haiti, and Britney had arrived with her group from college really just days before. And the last text message that she sent to her parents talked about the fact that she had made such a connection with these young people. She really wanted to do something for them, really wanted to have this orphanage. Now, I think that many of you, as we all did, came to have a face to the tragedy in Haiti, an American face, and that face was Britney Gengel, because we went through the ups and downs with her parents, Len and Cheryl Ann. We went through what we thought was the joy of their daughter being found alive and that her body was going to be brought home. And then we went through the horror with their family when, as they arrived in Florida and were at the airport, that we found out that Britney had died in the earthquake. But what came out of that was that this was a remarkable family.
Yes.
And so they carried out their daughter's last wish. And there is now this incredible orphanage that is in Haiti helping these children. And there are a lot of people who have been inspired by that story. She is a graduate of Wachusett High School, and from Wachusett we have Aurora and we have Emma, and they are part of the Be Like Brit Club.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. It was actually almost karma when I met these two girls. We actually met at the town hall meeting with Elizabeth Warren. And we just got into a conversation, and I said, you know what, this is perfect. This is perfect. I want you guys to be on our show. So thank you for joining us. Just out of curiosity, we know she was from Wachusett, but other than that, what was your motivation to start? You guys started the Be Like Brit Club at Wachusett?
So another girl from Wachusett actually started it. We're the co-leaders as of the end of last year, and we were some of the first members. And I mean, you said the last words, the last text that she sent to her parents were all about just this. She could not believe the connection and the amount of love that she was finding there at Haiti, and that just really exemplified Britney as a person. You know, everyone you talk to who knew her, just all they can talk about is the love that she radiated and that she felt for the world around her, and that's just, I mean, that's just what the world needs more of today, and that's what she wants to promote. That's what her parents are trying to promote in her memory, and I think that's really, I mean, I'll let you say, Emma.
No, I think that was the key motivation, because I think a lot of us who were original members of the club saw ourselves in Britney, not only because she had walked the same halls that we had and she had graduated from Wachusett, but also because she had, I think, a lot of the same passions that we share, which is just to help others and spread the love that she was amazing enough to go down to Haiti and spread herself.
Yeah.
Boy, in America right now, Asma, I think that we are seeing young people, young high school students, thinking of those kids in Florida, who are really taking the lead, are really taking a leadership role. And I think that the two of you are doing the same thing with this message that you're bringing us today. And it seems like a simple one, but unfortunately we do hear so many things in the world that are horrible, that are going on. What happens at a Be Like Brit Club meeting?
So it's pretty casual. We meet every other Monday. You know, our supervisors, Miss Hahn and Miss Hickey, they're teachers over at Wachusett. They meet, and any kids who can make it. We try to keep it pretty casual. I mean, in high school you'll have busy schedules, but we just brainstorm new ideas for what we can do to help promote the foundation that we're in association with. And we sponsor one of the children down at the orphanage with donations that we get. His name's Fredo, and he's about our age. Is that right? He's 17?
Yeah, I think he's 16 or 17.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then last year, one of our major goals was to get a few of us down to Haiti on the Be Like Brit mission, which Emma was able to do.
Yeah.
She can tell you about that a little later on. And so, but what we do is we try to think of fundraising opportunities and other ways to spread word about the club, and mostly just what we're about, because I feel like a lot of people have either heard of the foundation or of Britney herself, but the message is really
I think I actually know a little bit about, and you guys can correct me, but I believe that Fredo was one of the original orphans, right? And
Yeah.
now he is, and you're right, he's like 16, 17 years old.
And we got to meet him.
Oh, and you got to meet him.
Yeah.
I believe that there's going to be a job for him now, because of course now you have this first cycle of students who
Right.
have come of age. But he was one of these kids. I mean, you know, we take a lot of things for granted, but you know, you want to talk about walking uphill both ways or whatever, you know, old people are
Right.
supposed to say about their memories of going to school. And I mean, I think he was walking a fair distance at the beginning before they got him into the school, and then you have, you know, he sort of has his first real bed and all
Right.
these things.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to have somebody now 16, 17 years old and see this next generation of leaders. But you got to meet him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Tell us
terms
more about
of-
it.
Right, yeah, and in terms of education, 16 or 17, he would not have the education that you have at 16 or 17.
Yes, that is true. Excuse me. He was going to school. Obviously, they all go to school. But I think what was really interesting for me was talking to him. And first of all, I was blown away by how amazing his English was. And a lot of the kids had great English skills. And they're actually teaching them to be trilingual, which is really cool, French, Creole, and English. And also just his passion for singing, and also how he takes on this kind of like older brother, almost like father role at the orphanage, because he is one of the oldest orphans there. So when we were down there, it was interesting to see when younger kids would get in fights or something, they would come to Fredo for advice. And I thought that was really interesting. And it kind of just, I think, speaks to his character. And this one moment that was just amazing was when we brought him a gift from the club. We brought him a nice dress shirt and some shoes that he could wear to church, and he was just blown away by the gesture. And I think seeing him at a loss for words by just something as simple as like a shirt and shoes, at least simple to us, I think was just amazing. He was just an amazing person to meet.
How many students do you have in this club?
I'm not sure the exact number, but
It's hard to tell
Yeah.
because, like we said,
People
we're
are
pretty
in and
casual
out,
about
yeah.
attendance. Like, you know, if you're not going to be there, shoot us an email, shoot us a text. But I think we have anywhere between like 20 and 25 people, and then I think we have probably between 10 and 15 who come consistently. On bad days, maybe not even, but you know, everyone's pretty involved. Everyone who's in this club, we don't have as big a numbers as other clubs in the school, but everyone who's in it is pretty passionate. You have to be when you're doing something like this. It's something that you gotta love. You're doing it. Yeah.
So how many students went to this trip that you were talking about last year?
it was just myself and then one other girl from Wachusett, Sydney Kennedy, who's also a leader with us, and also Miss Han, who's the advisor or one of the advisors of the club, and also Miss Han's daughter, who goes to Leominster High. Even just the couple of us that went, I think it was a real not only bonding experience, but it was interesting. The people that we went on the trip with, a couple of them were from Sterling, and I'm from Sterling too. So it was just interesting to meet people and form those connections. Like, we still have a Facebook group and we still talk. So I think that was really special too, to meet other people who are passionate about the same things you are.
The way in which your group now at Wachusett, you said that, so it's affiliated with the Be Like Brit Foundation.
Yes.
What's that bond? Obviously, you went over there and you helped out. How do you help raise money for the foundation, or?
Yeah, so there's actually several other schools that have clubs too, St. John's, West Boylston, maybe a few other private schools in the Worcester area, I think. And I mean, like our last meeting on Monday, we just went to the operations center in Worcester, and we just helped them make little magnets, is that what, greeting cards, magnets for the people who sponsor children at the orphanage. And we just had pictures of the child that they're sponsoring, and they would get a little card just saying thank you again. We really appreciate everything we're doing. So just little things like that. I mean, there's a lot to do in an operation this size, and they've got, you know, everyone's working hard, so we just go over there and volunteer sometimes. I think, I mean, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, no, I think the affiliation with the organization is really special, because we also get to go to some of their events, like the gala. We got to go to that, a few of us, and that was amazing. And it was interesting to see Cheryl Ann and Len too. It was nice to meet them. So yeah, the affiliation with the club just provides us with a lot of opportunities to directly help the organization, not just through like financial.
Yeah, and like, I mean, just small things, like they have the gala, which is pretty well known, and then they did like a walk in memory of Britney, and they raised some money, and they sent out an email like, hey, you guys are one of our clubs. Do you have any people free Saturday this morning? Come out and help. We just helped set up tables, and we cheered people on. Some people were walking, some were running, so that was great.
Amazing the way some things really resonate. The way that now you have all of these clubs and the aid that they're able to give. There were organizations that have been in Haiti before the earthquake that had been there for years, and since the earthquake too, and you have so much trouble and so much red tape. And here, and this is why out of tragedies sometimes amazing things can happen. And yet Len Gengel and Cheryl Ann are able to get this orphanage in the I wish we had the picture, in the shape of a bee for Britney, and able to get that done in such a short period of time and make that kind of difference. And you wonder, I mean, that's just the power of certain individuals, and now having been able to attract young people like yourselves to be able to go and help in the mission and aid in the mission too.
Well, I think I'm pretty amazed at the foundation, and to help is there's so much less red tape. Anybody, as you're saying, can join in and help out, and at any time, in any form, which I think is great, and especially trying to get kids and kids your age to be so motivated to help out. What other events have you done for this particular foundation or in this area?
Yeah, so we've just as our club at the school, we kind of at first when we were still kind of forming, we just tagged on to events that the school itself was throwing, like they do the craft fair, which they have little bake sale booths in the hallway, and so we just set one up. We're like, all right, everyone bring as much as you can, and we weren't expecting much. I think we raised like $350 that day or something like that, and we were like, wow, people, all we needed to do was start talking about what we were doing, and people, I mean, you're amazed by how many people that not just the Gengel family, but Britney herself has touched. Another thing more recently this year, the boys' basketball game was doing pretty well this season, so they had a game against St. John's, a pretty big rival of ours, and we got in contact with our athletic director, and we said, can we do a blue out? It was the week of Britney's birthday. Blue out for Britney, it's her favorite color, it's the color of the foundation, and so outside the door, we had a few volunteers standing. We had little buckets with the name of the foundation, and people would just come up and put $1 or $2 in and ask, and we'd explain. And then you would not believe the amount of people like, oh, I knew her grandfather. I worked with her grandfather. They've just touched so many people.
Yeah, and now the two of you then are the co-chairs, but you said somebody else started it. But it sounds like it didn't start right away. Like it took a little while. I mean, it's a relatively new organization.
Just last year.
Yeah.
Just last year. What got it going?
I can't speak for the girl who started it, but I think she knew the story of Britney. I think a lot of us had heard of Be Like Brit before. And I think knowing that Britney was a graduate of Wachusett too, I think really just touched us in a special way. And she really just wanted to start the club to get more people involved and to hear about the Gengel story, because it is such an inspiring story.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, some other schools have Be Like Brit Club, so it's kind of, we are her high school. Brit was here, so I think we're just like, we gotta get some representation here.
So have you met her parents?
Have you met both of them?
Yeah, I have.
I've met Cheryl Ann. I have not met Len, I don't think.
Yeah, Cheryl Ann was actually on the trip that I was on to Haiti, and that was incredible to get to meet her and hear about, from her perspective, about everything that's going on and the actual building of the orphanage down there.
Yeah. So just driving to the orphanage, it has to be an eye opener. I've seen the pictures of the orphanage. Very nice. What's it like around the orphanage and in Haiti?
Yeah. So I would definitely say the drive to and from the airport was probably one of the most impactful things about the trip, just because when you drive through Port-au-Prince and you see, I believe it's called Tent City, where people are still living after the earthquake in just tarps they put up themselves. I think that was just, it hit home, because you never see that kind of poverty here in the U.S., and just the trash on the streets, and just the kids would run up to the car because they knew that we were American and that we had Pea Willies, which is what they call lollipops down there. They loved Pea Willies. So they would come running up to the van and ask for Pea Willies. And it's such a simple little thing, but it meant so much to them. And I think that was just really powerful.
Wow, and that's years.
That's years.
After the earthquake.
Yeah.
Right.
It's still the
crazy.
way it is. So you talked about Fredo, who is this this older student. You obviously met some of the other students too. What's your sense from talking to some of them? Not just the academics, but what perhaps they might want to accomplish to you. I mean, do you think that they can, when they leave the school, will they maybe be able to help with the tent city?
I think absolutely, because they're so motivated, and they don't take their education for granted, which I think a lot of times we can, as high school students, fall into like that pit of taking the fact that we have an education for granted. And they totally don't. They know what they want. And some of them, like the little girls, wanted to be singers or, politicians. And they have these big dreams. And I think it's so special knowing that the Gengels are going to help them realize their potential and get where they need to go. And I know I was talking to this one girl, and she said she wanted to move to the U.S. when she was older, and she wanted to go live in Florida, which I know is something that the Gengels are trying to start a little satellite operations center in Florida, which I definitely think will help the kids who do want to come see the U.S. or move to the U.S.
More opportunities for them.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that will really help.
Wow.
How many kids
I
are
was just gonna say
are
that.
actually being helped?
Yeah, so there's 66 children, 33 girls and 33 boys, and there's significance to that number because Britney was missing for 33 days, so they decided that 33 boys and 33 girls made the most sense.
Aurora, how do you think it's impacting you, just being part of this club?
Where to even start? I mean, just when we were talking about the kind of positivity that Britney sought to spread to the world. She was a graduate of Wachusett, and then when she traveled, I believe she was a freshman at Lynn University in Boca Raton, Florida, which is one of the schools that is my top choice, actually, my top choice for schools I've been accepted. And I wouldn't have heard about it if not for her. And I just checked it out. Like, this seems like a cool school. I was researching it, obviously, just through her at first. And when I went to visit, it was unbelievable because that spirit and that just drive to help others and make a difference and a change in a world where you have to believe that you can make a change. That's the kind of thing that they exemplify at that university, and it was just kind of, you see just a bunch of people like Britney in that place working for, you see signs for clubs supporting this, supporting that, just all these little like desires, I guess, and they all come like dreams and wanting to make a difference, and it's all in this campus. So it's really she impacted how I want to make my way in the world and make a difference, so.
Well, it's also positive.
It is.
So I almost hesitate to bring this up, but do you and then we have some time to recover and say other good things. Do you guys get some pushback? I mean, do you get the trolls who are out there? And I mean, has that been something that you've had to deal with at all in the club?
It's a little, I mean, like I said, everyone who knew Britney has nothing but good things to say about her. It's been a little bit tough. We were hoping originally to get funding for the trip, to have the school help us fund the trip through the school, which other schools, St. John's and the private schools do that easily. And West Boylston, I think, was actually the first public school to do that, which was a little bit, I mean, we're Wachusett. We wanted to be, we're her school. It was really kind of important to us that we were the first. So it was a little tough. I think it's something really important that education and schools should be aware of, just things like this and how it can promote, the kind of message that us as members of Be Like Brit want to promote. And
so you raised so when you went, you had to raise all your own money to go, and if you want to do And,
Yeah.
so like the $350 that you raised from the bake sale, where does that go to?
So that was originally, like I said, so that was at a school event,
Yeah.
technically, through Wachusett. So we were hoping to be using, and we were planning on doing other events through the school's fundraising programs. And so the point of doing it through the school was that we could use that money that we had raised through school events to fund our trip to Haiti. And because they weren't able to do that for us, we couldn't do that. I mean, the upsides, that, like you said, getting back to the positives, is that that money went to Fredo, the boy that we sponsored down
Yeah.
at the orphanage.
Oh, nice.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought
yeah,
for a
we
moment
really.
it was like
It
it
was
went
to
to the
put to school.
Wachusett General Fund or something.
What you said needs the money, but. So how did you raise the money for your trip, if you couldn't do it through school events?
I can't thank my parents enough. They were the main sponsors of helping me go on the trip. Also, just family members who knew that this was an important experience helped me get the financial means to go on the trip. But I think it was obviously a little discouraging to have the school say that we couldn't use that money that we had worked so hard to raise. But again, like Rory said, the upside of the story was that we got to sponsor Fredo in his education, which is obviously very important.
That's great. What's the goal for the club going forward? Are you both seniors?
Yes.
You said you've been accepted to college, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And as both seniors, what happens to the club next year?
Yeah. Well, I think the really inspiring thing about the club is that there's a lot of freshmen and sophomores who are very involved in the club and go to every meeting, and they're just
very excited.
Yes,
to
they're
be a part.
very excited.
I think the majority is underclassmen, which
Yeah.
is very comforting, at least for
Yes.
me and for you. I think I
Yeah.
can say just they're so enthusiastic, and they've had the honor. They're going to be able to be a part of this all 4 years.
Right.
We only just got it. Only was started when we were juniors, so we've kind of helped push it, and I think they're really going to help take it off. So I have full confidence that it's going to. Yeah, we're not. It'll be sad to go. Hopefully we can
Yes.
keep trying to
keep
promote
coming
it wherever
back.
we end up. But yeah, I have no doubt it's going to be in good hands.
I'm
So,
assuming you guys are going to keep connections with this club even after you graduate.
Definitely.
I think so.
Were you both BFFs? I'm down with the lingo. Were you guys great friends before the club, or was the connection through the club?
We were pretty good friends before.
Yeah.
I mean, Wachusett, the beauty of the pros and cons, obviously, of a big school, but the beautiful thing for me is meeting people that I would never have. I mean, she lives in Sterling, I live in Princeton, like, we're involved in different things, and yet somehow we were thrown together in this big place, this big school of people, and I mean, just so much in common, and so we were friends, and then we joined this club together, and
So how did the underclassmen find out about this club?
Yeah, we have social media, which obviously helps nowadays. Everyone else has social media too. Also, I think through just school announcements even, I think, at the beginning of the year we would announce that we were having our first meeting. And I think Britney's story is so famous in the Worcester area that a lot of people had heard about it and were curious as to what the club was. And a lot of them also have aspirations they want to go to Haiti. So being a part of the club is a good step towards doing that.
Yeah, it's interesting to me about the club, and as you said, the fact that some other schools had the club before Wachusett. So I think you're right. I mean, that was a good thing to rectify. I mean, here, this is what her school was. But that it's bringing in so many students who otherwise wouldn't have gone perhaps to their headquarters in Worcester and been part of the organization that way. This brings in so many more young people to be able to do it.
Yeah, I think an important thing, especially as we're talking about the younger students who will be taking over the club and continuing its legacy, is in today's day and age. You mentioned the students down in Florida who are, trying to make a change, and in today's day and age, it can be tough to figure out, like, how can we do this? How can we make a change? How can we stand up for what we believe in as high school students? It's hard to make your voice heard. And I think it's important having them realize that it's something as little as just joining a club for something you're passionate about and helping, just the little things we do for them up at the Operations Center, we help them with, and the things we do just on our own. We work hard for the money we raise and what we do at the club, and it feels incredible when we get to see it pay off. We get to see the pictures of the kids at the orphanage, and
Boy,
it's really
that is
important.
inspirational.
It is very
We
inspirational.
talk to so many different people, Asma, that you bring in and bring on perspectives. And I think one of the things that I always take away from the show and the guests that you bring on so often is that you don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be an elected official to really make that difference in the world. And it doesn't have to be the biggest things
Yep.
in the world. Simple acts of kindness,
Yeah.
just making a difference every day with a positive attitude or getting more people involved. I'm sure that years from now the club will probably have hundreds of members, and you'll look back and
so.
be a part of what started that, and you'll be able to have some credit and feel good about that. And small things just make a difference in the world.
Right, and actually someone just said to me, when you're just talking about how small things make a difference, there was a statistic out about how if you change the mind or affect someone, one person, it actually affects over 250 people.
Wow.
That's how, so the fact that she affected this many people, you can imagine over time and how many more people she has probably got
Yeah,
to affect.
it really is. And again, I always marvel at the fact that, Len and Cheryl Ann, I don't know. I mean, hopefully, most of us don't have to know what that is like to
Right.
lose a child. But I think many people, your grief goes inward. They were able to do something now where they have done so much good and affected so many thousands at this point of people, and that's a remarkable thing for that family to have done, and for you as well to have done. I know that we just have a minute left. Is there anything that we can do to help the club?
Just spread what Britney was trying to promote, the positivity and the fact that you can make a difference. Like you said, just one little, if you can just change, if you can help one person, if you can change the mind of one person, it just makes a difference. I mean, that's what we are trying to do. If you want to spread the word about the club as well, that's fine, but really just Britney's legacy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that leaves us time for your perspective on
My
the Be Like Brit
perspective,
Club.
this was when I heard about when I met these two students, I really wanted to do this show because I think on perspectives, like Hank was saying, we have covered politics, we have covered informational, educational, some serious topics, but a lot of these topics really bring us down sometimes. And with a story like this, there's really a lot of hope, especially the hope with the future generation. I'm excited to see these young folk really, really put motivation and inspiration into their efforts, into their work, and hopefully become mentors and inspire other people. And this really brings me hope, and I hope it brings you hope. Thank you for watching Perspectives.